Host of E! News, Giuliana Rancic, just announced that she is stepping down as the day-to-day anchor of the news show, but she will stay on the network and continue to co-host Fashion Police and their Live from the Red Carpet specials. Rancic said, "For more than a decade, I was fortunate enough to play a role in the success of E! News and will miss my family at the show." She also said that she will now focus on her wine and clothing line. All right, let me bring in Daily Share contributor Sean Pierre Regis and media journalist John Ehrlichman to help me out right now. Sean Pierre, Giuliana has basically been the face of E! News since Ryan Seacrest left back in 2012. Is this really a big deal for the show, or is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I think E! News is losing it. Really surprising. It's not surprising, I guess. It's always time to move on, right? She's a mogul in some ways. She has her wine line, she has a clothing line. So really, it makes sense that she would want to focus on other business ventures. But at the same time, you can't help but think, wow, she probably had to leave because of the obviously the controversial Zendaya statements. I think since she's still doing the red carpet and she's still doing Fashion Police, there's still Giuliana on E. It won't be fully missing, but I'll miss seeing her on E! News every night. So yeah, it's a little weird.
There's definitely going to be a void there now. John, she has been really vocal about how she splits her time between Los Angeles and Chicago with her family, and she's expressed that she would want to move to Chicago on a more permanent basis for her family. So is all this new news actually surprising at all?
Well, look, I think that it tells us that behind the scenes, definitely, Giuliana has really been focusing on this for a long time. Actually, my source is telling me, hey, I know that everybody looks back to that blow up on Fashion Police and they immediately say maybe that was one of the factors. But I would say absolutely you're right, because this is somebody who's been doing this for about a decade. My source is telling me that behind the scenes, they've already been having these kind of discussions for a long time. As we just heard, the fact that she's had successful books, she's got a wine business, she's got a great fashion business going, she's really built her own empire. And on top of that, yes, you've got a young son and you're going back and forth between Chicago and Los Angeles. She's not leaving E! entirely. She'll be there for the red carpets. I think this is really similar, a parallel path to what we saw with Ryan Seacrest, who used to be there day in, day out, but has a lot of ventures going on and now is really there for those blockbuster events.
And you mentioned that right now. Speaking of Ryan Seacrest, she is kind of mimicking the pattern that he did. We hear that Giuliana's last day is August 7th. Terrence J is currently the co-host with Giuliana right now. So who is going to be the potential person to be a replacement for her, Sean Pierre?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know if any of the, I'm sure those discussions have happened. I haven't even put much thought to it. I personally love Kat Sadler, who's on E! right now. I'm not sure if they'll hire from within or if they'll look for, a really big heavyweight to come and take her place. I don't know. Maria Menounos, maybe your spot is ready.
That it kind of makes sense now, knowing that Maria Menounos is there now. John, it was just a few months ago during the award season that Giuliana was caught up in that scandal over her comments that she did about Zendaya's hair. Fashion Police and the rest of the season, it was canned after that. Both Kathy Griffin and Kelly Osbourne, they left the show. I know that the situation hasn't played a role in her departure at all, but do you think it has a little bit to do with her not really wanting to be on the daily grind of it all? And what does it say for her to want to continue being on that show that kind of almost ruined her?
I'm sure as part of the daily grind, that could have been one of the factors too. Look, right now there are a lot of changes happening at E! You talked about some people who have been moving. Allie, well known for her Bachelor or Bachelorette days, who has moved on as well. You've got a group of young, fresh faces who have been leading the charge with E!'s online initiatives, being some of their online hosts. You could potentially, some of them, come into the fold to really have more of like an integrated online and TV presence. But you were talking about some of the other players out there at E! I mean, I think of Jason Kennedy, I think of Ken Baker, Kat Sadler is another one. So they've still got a lot of big names who are there who can help with that day-to-day heavy lifting at E! while people like Giuliana move on to that next chapter in her life.
Okay. And last but not least, we're going to say that Fashion Police had nothing to do with it, but we do want to continue seeing Giuliana on those red carpets. John, I do want to thank you so much for joining me right now. Jean-Pierre, I'm keeping you hostage right now. You can't go anywhere because we got a lot more to talk about.